Today we end it, I swear to God. I swear to God we end it today. Welcome back to the Everyman Hybrid Rambling Series. Part 8. This is the finale of my Everyman Hybrid Rambling Series. And if it isn't, then I guess there'll be a fucking Part 9. I guess there will be a Part 9. No. That's not happening though, I swear to it. I'll make this video like 2 hours long if I have to, I swear to God. Let's just jump into it. Wait, quick recap. So last video, Vinny found the North Star. Last video was titled Finding Fairmount. I don't know. Go watch part 8. Fuck your recap. We're getting this shit done. Go check out the Everyman Hybrid channel. Link in the description. Go do it. I swear to God. There's also going to be other links in the description that you need to go check out in this video too, but I will discuss those later on. I swear to God. Go check out the Everyman Hybrid channel. I will get angry if you don't. I will get angry and start hitting and screaming and crying. And being angry and being scared. Alright, let's just jump into it. Next video on the timeline is Half Acre of Ash. And this video starts out with Vinny has just gotten the North Star, and we pick up right where we left off. Him coming down the stairs, right? He just got the North Star, and now he's leaving the Fairmont building. Starts walking down the stairs, and now, from what we see from the start of this video, he has teleported all the way from Fairmount, Ohio, to now he is in Alabama, seemingly in a different building. Right when Vinny is walking out of this place that he is in Alabama, cuts to footage that I don't think we've ever seen before on the channel. It seems to be older footage, but it is Evan and Jeff. I think it's Jeff. I don't know. We don't know who's behind the camera, but at least we know that it's Evan in front, running towards the creek that Vinny appeared in towards the end of the Drive West video, where, you know, he just ran from Slendy on the beach, ran into the ocean, and then appeared in a creek, and his car was nearby. Looks like footage of someone running after Evan, and Evan starts kneeling down near this creek. Then we cut back to footage of Vinny walking out of this place that he is in Alabama, in Abilama. Vinny walks out of this building, and he's in some, like, random little abandoned barn somewhere in Alabama. He then pulls his keys out and presses the little alert noise, and his car is nearby. So Vinny's not, like, stranded out in some random place in Alabama. His car is nearby. After Vinny's car honks, right, and Vinny knows that his car's nearby, cuts to a scene of just, like, a field and, like, a tree next to it. Like a field of tall grass near it. It's tinted blue, and then after that we cut to the next scene where Habit is just walking around, and he walks up on some, like, trash bags that are, like, already destroyed. Some destroyed trash bags hanging on some trees. Maybe the same spot that footage from the hiking video took place, where Slenderman appears, and then they run to the forest, and Evan's kneeling down around, like, a couple different trash bags, and then Jeff cuts it open and it leaks blood. Maybe it's that spot. We don't know. And then so all of the audio in the background of this little part is, like, straight up just sounds like someone's, like, digging. It's Some weird ass shit, man. Sounds like someone's digging. Or rubbing something up against metal. I don't know. The audio's weird. Sounds metallic. Sounds kind of digging like. And then it cuts to footage of Habit digging with his hands. Okay. Interesting. And we see that Habit is digging up the spot where Alex buried a shotgun round. Now this was an earlier video on the channel that I decided to skip over because I didn't really feel like it was too important at the time. But back when the 7 Trials of Habit started, Alex, Jeff's brother, got into the 7 Trials of Habit, and he buried a bullet casing that he had fired using his dad's shotgun the first time his dad took him hunting or something like that, right? Now we see Habit was digging up that bullet casing. Interesting. Alright, now, after all of this random bits of footage of Habit just kind of walking around doing shit, right? We then get footage of little camera goblin walking up on Habit, and Habit's dragging a little shovel, right? So we know that it was digging. And Habit asks this camera goblin, "Are you for me?" He then, the camera goblin doesn't respond. And Habit asks in a more threatening way, holding an axe, pointing it at him, going, "Are you for me?" And then he asked, did he send you, to look through the eyes? He thinks those are eyes. All this power and no context. He then says, eyes for witnesses. Someone, I think it's the Slendy guy is what he's getting at, has sent this camera goblin to look at Habit, right? For witnesses. It's either Slendy guy or Dr. James Corenthal. But it may be Corenthal actually. Eyes for witnesses, right? We're those witnesses. But then says unwitting conspirators, unknowing accomplices. Us as the viewers, we are the witness. The unwitting conspirators, right? The unknowing accomplices. We are those people. Habit then says, do they matter? Just sitting there. They're watching. They're witnessing. Right? That's us. That's us as the viewer. We're sitting there, we're watching. We're conspirators, right? We're coming up with theories, but at the end of the day, we don't really know what's going on. That's why we have all these theories, because we get fed these little bits and pieces, but at the end of the day, it's all still just theories. We never really truly know what's going on. That's why it's the iteration theory, right? It's not a fact of iteration, it's the iteration theory, right? But as Habit was saying, they're witnessing. Habit says they're witnessing, but they'll be dust. We'll all die one day. We'll all be dust one day, but Habit then says he'll be here. New ones will grow, evolving, changing, living, right? Habit has lived many different lives. Habit has lived many different years. We have evidence that Habit was serial killers back in the 50s, right? The 1910s, right? Habit was working with the Nazis at one point, which we don't get told that in this series, but in Tribe 12, in Tribe 12 there's a video where the main character, Noah Maxwell, meets Habit, and Habit at one point mentions that he was working with the Nazis, right? So yeah, Habit's old. Habit's way older than any of us, right? Habit's seen civilizations rise and fall. Habit's seen a lot of shit. Habit's probably way older than us, right? He's probably fucking birth of the universe type old, you know what I mean? Now, what I'm seeing here is Habit's having a little bit of an existential crisis, you could maybe call it, right? I mean, we're all attuned to our weaknesses, right? We're all attuned to our weaknesses. Habit at one point has said in this series that, there's no such thing as gods, right? It's all just entities. Just like humans, we have our weaknesses. These entities can have their weaknesses too. Habit's having a moment of weakness. He's realizing that, what is his life? And he delves into that in the next line where he says, and he wants more of them. And I get to hunt them and eat them and cut them and burn them. Right? Who's he talking about? He's talking about the tall man. That stick in the mud, right? That old stick in the mud. He wants more of them. He'll never satiate his hunger. This big tall man, he wants to eat. He wants more and more, never ending. And that's one of those things that I think delves into the iteration cycle theory a little bit more, is that he wants more of them, and this tall man has somehow found a way to have an infinite source of food, right? If these 4 people, Evan, Jeff, Vinny, and Stephanie, all keep coming back to life, living these different lives, different cycles, he'll have an infinite source of food, right? If these people can never truly die, and they just keep living different lives, time after time, he will never truly run out of food. Just to say that there's not other people living in an iteration cycle, you know what I mean? Right? One thing that I delved into in my ML Anderson video is Michael Anderson. It kind of sounds like he is living in an iteration cycle too. Kind of seems like he will also never truly die. And that's something that actually gets explored into a little bit later on. I'm going to bring up something now, because I'm not going to delve into it too deeply later on when we actually get to it proper in the timeline of videos that are coming up. But Michael Anderson, ML Anderson, in tape 3 is all about a different iteration of the Princeton tapes Vinny, who meets up with a man named Roger Palladino, and they start doing these like little entity creature investigations. And That'll be EP. Eventually, this Vinny in the very end of tape 3 meets. He has a phone call with Michael Anderson from ML Anderson, the main character, Michael, right? And Michael tells him. Michael pretty much says, very outwardly, like, I live in an iteration cycle. And he tries to explain to Vinny that, he tries to explain to this version of Vinny that, and you're living in the same cycle. And we can tell that this is a very much a later on in the series kind of Michael. Because in this tape, he mentions his brother Sean, right? And just like other things, kind of events that happened throughout the series, throughout the ML Anderson Zero series, right? But yeah. But back to the topic at hand. The video Half Acre of Ash. Went on a little bit of a tangent there, but it is the Ramble series, so I'm allowing myself to cook as however hard I want to cook, right? What Habit was saying, right? The tall man wants more of them, and Habit gets to hunt them, and eat them, and cut them, and burn them, right? Habit's starting to seem like he wants more. Habit starts to say in his own way that he's getting bored. He's getting bored with the same old, right? It's the same every time. The tall man wants them, he hunts them, cuts them, burns them, eats them, does whatever he wants with them, right? But it's always the same. But what's not the same is the humans that he's killing. Habit then says he's seen civilizations rise and fall, like I just mentioned, right? He's seen technology advance. He's seen these humans change, but he never changes. The tall man never changes either, right? Even the body that he has, Evan, has grown more difficult, but has also become unstoppable, right? The more difficult Evan grows on the inside, the more unstoppable Habit's ultimate vessel truly is, right? And it's been the same for Habit every time, but this time it's different. He's changing. Habit's changing. And he's changing in a way that is, something that we could see. If it's always been the same before we'd known Habit, then this has been Habit's change. He's the director of the Everyman Hybrid channel. He decides what goes up on the channel, what doesn't. He intersplices footage that we're not supposed to see because he wants us to see that, right? He sends packages to random people, giving clues and stuff, just to fuck around, right? Just to fuck around and have fun, and also to spite the big tall man, because he doesn't want to be just one of the big tall man's partners anymore. He's done with that agreement. He doesn't want to run in the circle of the Slendy guy, the rake, and the Habit, right? He doesn't want to just run in that circle anymore. He wants to go out, he wants to grow, he wants to do his own thing. That's why he has the 7 trials of Habit. That's why he sends out these packages to people. That's why, now this is a little bit of Tribe 12 spoiler territory, right? But I'm gonna delve into it. That's why he helped Firebrand get out of the collective's grasp. Just because he could. Just because he wanted to, just because he knew it would anger the tall guy. He wants to help Vinny take down the tall guy just because, this is a fun little game for him, right? And it's change. It's something different. He's not just hunting anymore. He's toying. And he's puppeteering, controlling things behind the scenes. He's going beyond just hunting. He's doing some big brain plays. Ugh. This is some good ass shit, man. This is some good ass shit. Habit, you be going hard, man. And also, if you think about it, even down to just like fucking around with the ML Anderson series. He wants to fuck with Sean and Michael just because, just because he can. He's changing. He doesn't just want to be the same old evil. He wants to be a different kind of evil. It's not a good change. It's not a good, That's, in the tradition video, Vinny said that Habit's new mantra was New Year, New Me, right? And at the time, I thought, maybe he's just taunting Vinny, New Year, New Me, talking about iteration cycles and stuff like that. Maybe it's not just that. He probably is using it to taunt Vinny, because that could also apply to Vinny. But I think he also means New Year, New Me. It's time for me to change. I think that went beyond just taunting. I think that was also kind of speaking a little bit to his own soul. Now, Habit brings up a next point about evolving, right? An example of it. He left them alone in the dark. And they found a father. They changed, adapted, evolved, right? He's talking about the Mining Town 4. Evan, Jeff, Vinny, and Steph. He left them alone, and they've changed. They've adapted. They found a father figure. Someone who's looking out for him. Someone who wants to help him. Right? They've evolved. But Habit hasn't. But he wants to. And Habit says, I think it's my turn to change. Don't you? And he points the axe at the camera goblin. Right? Camera goblin obviously doesn't respond. Because it doesn't know how to speak, most likely. And then Habit says, you wouldn't know, would you? Right? Most likely not. The camera goblin probably doesn't know what change is or how to change. It only just knows how to, record events. It only knows how to get things to the witness. Habit then calls the camera goblin empty. Pretty rude in my opinion. But then Habit says, I'll get what I want, and it'll change. And then we cut back to the footage of Evan and Jeff running in that area that Vinny was in when he escaped Slendy Boy's clutches in the Drive West video. And we are now confirmed that was Jeff who is holding the camera. Right? And all Jeff has to say is we're running out of time. These boys be running on a path, right? We don't know what they're running from. And then the next scene, it cuts. Cuts to footage of Corinthal. And he tells the camera goblin to back away from Evan, right? Just back up a little bit, right? He's not telling him to, back away. He's telling him just, Ayo, 151, back up, right? But he calls him 151. 151. Where have we heard names, people being associated with a number in their name? The Rabbits. right? The 7 trials of habit. Habit had his little rabbits. Rabbit 151, potentially? I'd say so. At least that's what I think, right? So, Corinthal has one of these rabbits as a cameraman. Rabbit 151. That's at least what I think. If that's not true, that's my headcanon at least. I mean, but Corinthal pretty much says, we gotta get moving, right? He picks up Evan. He says, shit's going down. It's getting heavier than before. We gotta get moving. We gotta get to that tower. We don't know what that tower is. We don't know exactly what he means by shit's getting heavier. Stuff's going down. But we kind of interpret a little bit, The monsters are more vigilant on Vinny now, the tall man, right? Vinny just got the North Star. Habit's talking about wanting to change. There's some pretty heavy shit coming down, right? But Corinthal helps Evan up. He's having him lean on him, right? Evan seems to be a little bit injured or something. And then we see Corinthal and Evan, and also Jeff, start to walk down a path. They start to, speed walk a little bit down a path. And 151 follows behind them. Now, Jeff and Evan run to a tower, this, electrical tower, and all they talk about is telling the fans to stop watching them. Very common theme that's come up a lot in this series. Stop watching us, right? Huh. I don't exactly know what that scene means, but yeah. I mean, one time they tweeted out, please stop watching us, but then that tweet got deleted sometime soon after. So, maybe that's the moment where they tweeted it out. Who knows? For a second, we cut to some driving footage, and then we go back to the scene of Evan and Jeff. They say, is it sent? Now, during this footage of Evan and Jeff, all the footage that we've seen, there's been noticeable little bits of camera distortion. But, yeah, they say it's sent, and then they start running back. And before it cuts back to more footage of driving, Jeff says this place will be crawling with them. Whatever that means. Maybe Slendy Guy's dogs. Maybe that dog thing and the Slendy Guy and the Habit themselves. Who knows? More driving footage happens, and it cuts back to that footage of Evan and Jeff. And Evan says, thank the fucking sun. They're both sitting in a car now. They've gotten back safely to their vehicular object. And Jeff says, every 3 days we have a chance. We get the chance. Now, I don't know what that means, but it definitely has something to do with sending out that message or something like that. It has something to do with that electrical tower. Something like that, right? Ugh. And then after that, we cut to footage of Vinny. Vinny seems to be good, and most likely his driving footage that we were seeing, right? And he's in front of some chips and a burger, or I don't know, something that looks like a burger. And he says, "What you're looking at may be my last meal." Oh no, Vinny, no. Ugh. Alright, never mind. Vinny said that what you may be looking at is my last paid for meal, as he is now out of cash. Alright. So maybe not his last meal. I jumped the gun a little bit. I paused a little too soon. I'll admit it. He also says that his phone has been kept alive by this wire that I believe is on its last leg. And yeah, it's a wire that has the inner components exposed at towards the very tip of it. So yeah, no, I'd say so. Vinny said that he went back to the apartment and it was empty. No note, no direction, so he's just been driving around New Jersey. Vinny says that it's been strangely quiet. He thought that when he left, the world would like cave in on itself. But no, everything seems to be chill for now. He says that since he's gotten those papers, nothing's touched him, nothing's come after him, nothing's even been strange. Also says either way, there's been no sign of habit, and that's not good. After that, we cut back to footage of Corinthal, Jeff, and Evan walking down a trail together. They stop walking, and Corinthal looks at Jeff, and he says, "Jeff, you know what to do. Take Evan with you. You guys have to make that connection." He says that you've only got 5 minutes. You have to make sure that that thing happens, or we're handing off a nuclear weapon to that fucking bastard. All hell breaks loose. The world as we know it is over. Tells him to not panic, but your dad knows, right? Corinthal, good father moment. Tells him to check their watches. He tells them, "You guys know what to do. Go make that connection. I love you, boys." Evan says, "I love you, Dad." And then he tells them, "Godspeed, boys." And then one last thing, Corinthal says, "Remember, 5 minutes." And then Corinthal and 151 start to walk down a separate part of the path as Evan and Jeff start to speed walk off on a different part of the path. And we cut to footage of Habit still in that same spot where he was having his existential crisis moment. His eyes go all wide, and he starts running. Just starts running somewhere while we hear this loud, like, brrrr noise in the background. And then we cut to footage of Vinny. He says, "So I just got a text while I was sitting here from a number that I don't know. The text was coordinates, and then it also says, if you're alive, come here." And then this video ends with random footage of water. And then a man standing near the water looking at a building. And this man appears to be Vinny, but we never get to see his face, so we don't know. And there's someone behind him recording, most likely some kind of camera goblin or some shit, right? But yeah. And that is how Half Acre of Ash ends. And now we move on to the next video. Alright, the next video that we're on is the day the world ended. The video starts with Vinny pulling up to some kind of cabin in the woods. It then cuts to footage of Corinthal walking on that path that he was walking on last video after he sent Jeff and Evan off. Right? Vinny gets out of his car, grabs a notebook with purple tape on it, and says, "This is where the coordinates led me." Alright. And as he's walking up to the cabin, Habit walks out of the house. Habit has a shotgun in his hands. Solid. And Vinny asks him, "Ayo, Habit, I got your text. What's our next move?" Habit says, "You're dying, Vinny. That's what we're doing." And then Vinny responds with, "I know you didn't send me all the way out here just to kill me." We got a confident little Vinny now. We got a fucking confident little Vinny. It says, "I did get you here to kill you because I did have a plan that you miraculously fucked up." Habit says, "You were supposed to find something for me, and you left before you could because you didn't have enough to go off on." What Habit doesn't realize is is Vinny definitely found what Habit was looking for, you know? Habit said we're looking for that North Star. Vinny found that North Star. Or at least we think he did. He found a fucking piece of paper with a symbol on it, alright? But it seems to be protecting him. So hopefully that fucking symbol means something, you know what I mean? Golly goddamn. Habit taunts Vinny a little more, and he's like, you know, you had to go find your fucking answers, right? You know, you only had one thing to look for, the fucking North Star, and you know, you had to go and find your answers. What a waste. What he still doesn't realize is Vinny got that thing on him, dude. Vinny let that 40 bang, alright? It's like, no, you can't just find it. It's not just laying on the fucking floor somewhere, right? You can't just find it. If it was that easy, I would have sent Evan off to do it in a fit of confusion. I would have gone and got the fucking thing myself. You can't just find it. It's gone. It's in the ether. He then, you know, Habit's taunting him, and Vinny's like, look, I know I made it. I know I found it. You wanna know why? Because I made it. Right? And then he shows Habit the notebook with all the scraps of paper in it. Habit gets all excited. Gets all jittery, gets all fucking antsy and shit. He gets all giddy. He's happy, man. He's glowing. You could say he's glowing, gleaming, sheeming even. And he looks at Vinny and he says, "We're gonna have a lot of fun." The next scene cuts to Corinthal. And Corinthal is continuing to walk on that path. He stops somewhere. Pulls out his phone, starts to make a phone call, and he looks at Rabbit 151 and he says, hey, you got kids 151? Fucking picnic, I tell you. The next scene cuts to Vinny. And Vinny's in a bathroom. He puts a razor to his head. And then Vinny walks out of the bathroom. And he has a completely shaved head. And Habit starts laughing at Vinny, and he directs a little camera goblin to come over, film Vinny's little shaved ass, right? And fucking Vinny's like, "Fuck is that?" And Habit's like, "Oh, that's mine. You know, the conclusion of the story needs to be seen, right? Well, we need someone to film while your hands are busy helping me, right?" Vinny then, you know, he asks Habit what's next, and Habit's about to start explaining the plan. But then Vinny gets a phone call. Who'd be calling Vinny? He has no one else in his life, right? Who's calling little Vincent? Even Habit gets confused, you know? He's like, who would be calling you? He doesn't even have any friends. But Habit, after making that little joke, gets a little serious face on him. Starts to walk a little bit closer, you know, towards where Vinny walked away from. You know, he's trying to listen in, trying to hear what's going on in this phone call, right? It seems to be dire. It seems to be important. It seems like Habit knows who would be calling him. And Vinny walks outside, and we hear who has called him. We also get to see it too, because the camera cuts from Vinny's perspective to the person who's calling him, which is Dr. Corinthal, right? Pieces are coming together, right? And Vinny, Vinny's like, hello, who's this? And Corinthal's like, it's your dad. Vinny's like, who? Corinthal's like, it's the doc. It's the doc, you know? Well, how you doing? And Vinny's like, how'd you get this number? And the doc, Corinthal says, Vinny, I'm your dad. I pay for the bills, for God's sakes. I know the phone number. Just listen to me, son. I fucking love this series so much. God damn. Corinthal starts to explain. Vinny, I know what you're doing. You need to stop, right? You're giving this fucking thing a bomb. You need to stop. Right? This is not the right course of action. You need to stop, son. Like, Doc? Stop? Doc, we can end this now. This is our only course of action. Vinny, listen to your father, Vinny. Listen to your fucking father. It's like, James, you know I can't do that. It's been 8 fucking years. Right? Corenthal's like, come on, just come home, son. Just come home. And Vinny's like, it's been 8 fucking years. You know, I can't just do that, Doc. Right? Vinny. Vinny. Listen to your father, Vinny. Don't give the North Star to Habit. This seems like an important, powerful item. And Habit is a fucked up guy. Orenthal tries leveling with him. He's like, I know what you're thinking is. I know we're all stubborn. We all are, right? But I need to tell you 2 things, please. You know, I love you, and please believe that. And then second of all, believe that I'm right. Don't do this. It's the wrong course of action. Corenthal's pretty much pleading with him at this point. He's saying, I've never asked for anything like this in my life. Please, Vin, stop. This is not the right course of action. Please stop. And Vinny just says, Doc, I'm sorry. Doc, I'm sorry. I can't reset this. And then starts to hang up the phone. Corenthal gets a little panicked. It's like, Vin. Phone hangs up. Corenthal's like, fuck! You know? Throws the phone down. Fuck! You dumbass Vinny, you listen to your fucking father. That's your goddamn dad. Alright, next scene. Vinny walks up to Habit. Habit's looking for something. He pulls something out of a box. It's a knife, right? Habit was looking for a knife. But, Vinny asks, well, what is this place? Habit says it's Corenthal's cabin. And then Vinny asks, like, no, I'm not what I mean. What is going on with this place? You know, I walked down a hallway. I turned back. I'm lost. Feels like there's like a rock laying down in the pit of my stomach. Habit explains that this place is sick. It's in a state of flux, right? Ever changing. There's stairways where they shouldn't be, hallways that lead to nowhere, right? But Habit also says, I'd figure you'd be used to that by now. Habit then also explains that it's not safe to go anywhere alone, especially outside, right? So Vinny, you be a good dog and you stay near your owner, Habit. You fucking submissive little guy. It's then like, so the knife was what you were looking for? Is there something special about it, you know? Is it like some kind of special Uber knife? And Habit's like, no, it's barely even sharp. We cut to the next scene, and Habit's looking for Reese's cups. He's looking for Reese's cups in a little, like, pumpkin candy holder. It's pretty nice. But he just wants Reese's cups. But then Vinny walks into the kitchen. Vinny walks up to the fridge, and he starts pulling some little, like, pictures off. And they are pictures of Corenthal and the kids, right? The Mining Town 4 in, like, a photo booth. There's a bunch of them, right? And, Vinny's like, Habit, what are these? Habit picks up these, like, nice little, like, ketchup and mustard holders that have faces on them, and, Habit's like, these are great, right? Vinny's like, no. What are these, right? He points at the pictures. Habit starts to explain to Vinny that his whole life has been a lie. It's been fake. Vinny's like, yeah, I know that, right? And Habit's like, well, you know, if there's a lie, you need proof of a lie. I wouldn't be surprised if more things just pop out, right? And Habit starts to explain further that, you know, this lie, you know, Vinny started to diverge from it. He's understood that it's a lie, but it will still try to produce more dribble and garbage as much as it can, right? That being said, though, Habit also says it's almost like a life you could have had. That's mean, Habit. That's mean. Habit then says, you know, and maybe that life still can happen if all goes to plan. And then he says, I'm taking the Reese's. Vinny says, I'll take one too, and Habit says, nope, all mine. We cut to the next scene. Habit's looking out a window. Vinny walks up to him. He's like, "What happened to the rain?" Habit's like, "It stopped for now, but it'll start up again. As I said, this place is sick." Then he walks up to Vinny. He says, "You ever shot a gun?" Vinny says, "I played Call of Duty." And Habit is like, "No, no, 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 not. All right, we're gonna teach you." Vinny questions Habit a little bit. He's like, "I thought we weren't gonna go outside." Habit's like, "We're not gonna go outside, all right? We're gonna go upstairs. I left the gun upstairs." Then Vinny starts to question Habit a little bit. He's like, "So you spent all that time looking for a knife. You also got a gun, but they're not special, right?" And Habit says, "No." And then Vinny's like, "And we're gonna use them to kill a god." And Habit's like, "Yes." He also starts to, when he's saying we're gonna go upstairs, he also says, upstairs, downstairs, and all, you know, so we're gonna go upstairs, downstairs to get a gun. But yeah. And then they walk up the stairs. And once they get to the top of the stairs, they make a turn and they are immediately starting to go downstairs towards where Habit has this gun. So yes, in this place is in a constant state of flux, ever evolving, ever changing. Never one set rule or path or anything that happens in this house. It's like a maze, it's like a labyrinth. They walk down some more stairs, and they are in Vinny's basement. And while all of this is going on, you can hear a little, like, synthesizer piano version of the Everyman Hybrid theme from the very first video on the channel. Like, the same little, like, theme that I put into part 1 of this rambling series. A little nostalgia moment, you know? And a little montage of Habit teaching Vinny how to shoot a shotgun plays while they're in Evan's basement. I mean, not Evan's basement, Vinny's basement. The montage ends, and then Habit is like, "We're ready," right? And Vinny's just looking around, and he's like, "This is where it all started." And Habit's like, "Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, this house is in flux. You're gonna see bits, bobs. You're gonna see places, right? But it's not really anywhere." And then Vinny's just like looking around at stuff. Habit's like, "All right, hey, when you're ready, you know, come back to me. Don't look too far, all right?" Vinny's looking around, and he opens up that little side door in his basement near the stairs, and the sound of a fax machine plays. Vinny's like, "What the fuck was that? I don't own a fax machine." Habit's like, "I don't fucking know. Do it again, right?" Vinny opens up the door. Sound of a fax machine keeps playing, little mechanical noises and shit, and then Vinny's just like shuts the door all fast after looking in for a few seconds. And Habit's like, "You ready? Come on, let's go." We then cut to Habit sitting at a table. And he's looking at this little item. This little item with a symbol at the end of it that looks like the North Star that Vinny found, right? And then Vinny's like, "Yo, what's that?" And Habit's like, "You should know, Vin. You made it." Vinny's like, "That does look like the symbol that I found, but I didn't make that, right?" Then Habit's like, "No, you didn't, but you did, right? Or at least someone that sounded like you did, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then Habit says, "Well, someone that sounded like you, or some ones that have sounded like you, have made many things." Habit says, "We're gonna go outside, and I'm going to put this in a fire, and then I'm gonna..." He's essentially saying he's gonna take that little North Star item, he's gonna put it in a fire, and he's gonna brand that symbol onto the shotgun and probably the knife also, right? or something like that. And he also tells Vinny that when we go out there, you need to ignore the ghost. You need to ignore the voices. Everything out there is going to try and take you away from me. Right? Vinny agrees. And says, let's go outside. Habit gets a little excited, too. He's like, ooh, it's time to go. Now, they're outside now, right? Sitting in front of a fire. And Habit is explaining that there's two things that ignite the power of this item. Fire, right? Habit brought the fire. And also suffering ignites it, right? And Habit says there's only one person I can think of that can bring the most human suffering. And he's talking about Vinny, obviously, right? Vinny is one of the key pieces to this North Star killing a god puzzle, right? And while also all of this scene is going on, you could hear noises out in the forest and stuff like that. Things are trying to entice Vinny to go out to them, right? Habit tells Vinny that he shouldn't listen to the ghosts. The universe doesn't want him to make this. Nothing alive wants him to make this. He's making a god killer. He's making a god-killing weapon. Habit says, we're gonna do it anyway, because we have a god to kill. Habit also says that's why it's important why you put the most emotion into this as possible. He tells Vinny that when he puts that thing into the fire, he needs to remember everything. Everything that he's endured. Everything that he's gone through. Every little thing. Habit reminds Vinny of all the things he's suffered in life, and then he leaves him to it, to make the weapon. Vinny puts the thing into the fire, and all of these noises from around him start blaring. They get louder, right? Whatever Vinny is doing right now, the universe does not want it to happen. There's entities out there that don't want this item to be made. There's things screaming out from the ether telling him not to make this. But Vinny is ignoring them. Vinny's doing it. Vinny's creating a nuclear fucking bomb that's about to go off across the universe. Now I'm gonna leave a little note here and say that if you are this far into the series and you haven't watched a single video on the Everyman Hybrid channel, you're missing out, man. Link in the description. Go fucking check it out, alright? This shit's important. This shit's good. This shit is art. It's masterfully done. It's genuinely amazing. It is gold standard for YouTube horror web series without funding. Alright? Go fucking watch this shit, man. You'll have a great time too. It's funny. It's great. Go give these Everyman Hybrid Boys views. And go also check out the Night Mind Explained series. You'll get a more in-depth look on the series, and you'll kind of start to understand things more if you were confused while watching through it. Habit comes back to Vinny, and he says, it's time. Vinny then takes the item out of the fire, takes the North Star out of the fire, and he imprints it onto the knife. And he's pressing down hard, right? And Habit's telling him to focus. Focus all of his pain into this item. This knife is now a god-defying weapon. This knife now is a nuclear fucking bomb. Then tells Vinny to pick up the knife, right? Vinny holds it in his hand, and Habit looks at Vinny and says, are you ready to kill a god? And then after that, we cut to the catch-up scene. I don't want to spoil the catch-up scene. Go watch this video. It's called The Day the World Ended. Catch-up scene is amazing. It's funny. It's great. Go watch it. Alright, after the catch-up scene, we cut to the next scene. In this next scene, Vinny and Habit are sitting at a table. Habit's, explaining the plan. He's like, we're back at the cabin now. We get some sleep. And then tomorrow, we get some shit done. Vinny says that he likes the sleep part, but he's a little unsure of the plan, Habit explains that since we are in a place of flux, ever-shifting, nonsensical world, any plans that you have will get chewed up and spit out, thrown out the window, right? There's no such thing as a definitive plan in this place that they are at, in Corinthal's cabin. The only true plan that they have is that by tomorrow they will kill something which cannot be killed. Vinny picks up the knife and he starts to, fiddle around with it a little bit. He goes to poke himself with it, and Habit stops him real quick, abruptly, right? Has him put down the knife, has him move his hands over to the table, right? Habit says, I think it's about time I tell you what that is. It explains that the North Star, it's an old symbol that means pain and lethality. It can bring mortality to something that does not have it. It brings mortality to something that does not have it. Essentially meaning it can kill something that cannot die. Yeah. It then explains that if it can kill a god, right, if it can bring that to a god, that kind of horrific pain to a god, what is it going to do to Vinny if he fucks around with it, right? Habit then explains that one little measly cut, for him, horrific pain. One little measly cut to Vinny, horrific death. And then Habit tells Vinny to go up the stairs. He'll be with them in a moment, right? Plans are set in motion. Plans are set in motion. Shit's going down. By tomorrow, that cannot be killed will be killed. And the video ends with Habit admiring his creation. He rubs the knife down, he rubs it, he's just feeling it. And he looks fucking happy. This is that change Habit was talking about, Habit's going beyond just hunt them, kill them, burn them, eat them, right? He's creating things that disrupt the universe itself. Alright. And now, we have 2 more videos on the channel to go through. We are endgame, baby girl. We are endgame, BB girl. Alright. This next video that we are in, All Good Things, is the title of the video. All Good Things. It picks up where we left off last video, right? Vinny made a god weapon. Vinny made 2 god weapons, actually. Put them on, regular in-world human weapons, like a gun and a knife. And Habit said, we will, do this tomorrow. Now it is tomorrow. It is the next day. And, yeah. Shit's going down. It's time to kill a god. Now, Vinny and Habit, they walk out into, 3 feet away from the house. And I guess before this footage started, Habit told Vinny that it was going to be a long, intense journey. But they only walked, 3 feet away from the house. Vinny questions this, and Habit explains that right here, it starts, right? This is the start of that journey. It starts here. This is where the real fun begins. Habit says, first order of business, I'm going to need that knife. You got that knife on you? Vinny has it on him. He pulls that knife out, grabs that knife, he throws it out into the woods. Vinny's immediately like, Habit, what the fuck? Habit then tells Vinny, shut your fucking mouth. The journey starts here. Journey starts here because Corinthal's not a fucking idiot. This is what Habit's saying. Corinthal's not a fucking idiot. He built his cabin here because he's not a fucking idiot. Habit then says, maybe Corinthal's a little suicidal, but he's not a fucking idiot. Habit then explains that, you know, these woods, they're old and they're sick. So who do you think lives here, right? The tall man. So then Habit tells Vinny, you gotta stay quiet, right? You gotta shut the fuck up. Then explains that if the tall man, that stick in the mud, gets a beat on them in these woods, he'll pop his ass out behind one of these trees and they'll be fucked. And Habit also explains that he has no control here. He has no bubble of protection. He can't protect Vinny here, right? This isn't his space in the universe. This is the tall man's space in the universe. And Habit explains, you know, we play this safe, we play it smart, we play it quietly. Shh. Habit then takes Vinny's glasses. Vinny's like, I need those to see. And Habit's like, I know, right? That's why I took them from you. Isn't that awesome? And then Habit says something fucking insane. This is going to be a hard, heavy hitter right here. So Habit took Vinny's glasses. He gave him a shotgun. He said, you know, you have a gun, but you can't see, right? That's the joke. And says, Vinny, you're going to be fine. That's a scatter gun. I put buckshot in that, right? Anything that you aim at, it's going to hit it somehow, right? And then he says something out of pocket, man. He says something that none of us were expecting, you know? We're all here thinking, Vinny's gonna kill a god. But then Habit says something kind of wild. It says, you know, he's telling Vinny he put buckshot in this gun, right? And then after that he says, ugh, you'll be able to hit Evan no problem. He's an up close and personal kind of guy. You'll be able to hit Evan no problem. When did any of this plan mention shooting Evan? You know? When did any of this plan mention shooting Evan at all? You'll be able to hit Evan no problem. He's an up close and personal kind of guy. So he's gonna be trying to rough and tumble your ass, and you'll just blow his ass in half, and you're good to go. Hit Evan? Blow his ass in half? But they're friends. Let's keep going. There's something going on here. By the way, after Habit says all of this about killing Evan, Habit says, "Oh my god, I'm just so excited." And then Vinny asks, "Yo, can we go over the fucking plan again?" And Habit grabs him and he says, "Yes, I would love to." Habit then explains the plan. He says, here in this place that I have prepped for you, you are going to kill Evan. Habit continues to explain, you know, but oh, Habit, Evan's body can't die. I know. That's why we made the God Killer, right? Habit made these God Killers so then Evan and Vinny could have a battle and a fight. And so Vinny could use these God Killers to kill Evan. Because, as Habit has explained, Evan has become unstoppable, right? This body has grown and changed and become unstoppable. Ugh. Now, what does this have anything to do with the plan? Well, Habit says right after, and then Vinny, you will slip into beautiful darkness. Let's keep going. It explains that after Vinny kills Evan, he will slip into beautiful darkness, and it will all end for him. I mean, look. In the first video of this little ending part, right, of these last 7 videos, In the video Sleeping Dogs Lie, Habit says, "You think any of this was about you, Vinny? It's always been about me, right?" It truly has. Habit never wanted to help Vinny. He wanted to use Vinny. To create a god killer. To disrupt the universe. And then after that, he wanted to put on a little show. He wanted to give a nice theatrical ending to his to his directorial debut. And then after that, after telling Vinny that he is going to die, Habit says, and then the real fun starts. Habit then goes on to explain that, Vinny, this was never about killing a god. This was about change. Habit then continues to explain this is about bringing about a new beginning, and he needed Vinny to do it. Habit then turns around, puts his arms up in the air like this, and says, "Oh, what a beautiful day." Vinny then puts the gun to Habit's back, not Evan, not yet. Puts the gun to Habit's back and says, "There's one problem with that. You need me to die, and that's not fucking happening." Vinny has his cool guy action hero moment, you know? What we notice while Vinny is saying this little speech to Habit, he says, you know, you need me to die. But what's going to happen is he's going to kill him, and then he's going to walk into that forest. He's going to walk into that abyss. He's going to kill the big slendy guy. But what we notice while Vinny is saying all this is Habit's face just drops, right? And it seems like Evan's back. It's not Habit anymore. Evan's back. Vinny looks at him for a second and says, "Evan?" And then Evan proceeds to punch Vinny about 2 times, and he takes the shotgun from Vinny. Evan puts the gun down, and Vinny's like, Evan, it's me. Habit fucked everything up. Habit fucked everything up." He's shaking Evan a little bit. And Evan just looks sad. Almost sounds like he's about to cry a little bit. Looks at Vinny, and he says, "It was you." And then he tackles Vinny to the ground. Now, I just want to make a little note here and say, go watch this video. Because I'm not doing it justice, man. I'm not doing it justice at all. Go motherfucking watch this video. I'm just giving a recap, and I'm going to ramble about stuff, right? Go motherfucking watch this video. It's an amazing video. It's so fucking good. Go watch Everyman Hybrid, link in the description. Evan tackles Vinny to the ground. Vinny starts pleading. He's saying, listen to me. And then Evan, not Habit. It's not Habit anymore. Habit's gone. Habit's out of here. Habit's watching from a distance. Right? Habit's somewhere, he's watching this moment from a distance. I'd like to think that Habit has taken over the camera goblin as a vessel and is now just recording, right? Because he wants to get the best camera shot. So that's my theory about where Habit is right now. Habit's watching from a distance inside the camera goblin's body while the camera goblin records this whole thing. But Evan says something, right? He says, "He showed me what you did. He showed me what you did." Vinny, what did you do, buddy? Says, you know, "He showed me what you did, you snake fuck. He showed me. You put those cameras in our house." Vinny. Now, if you remember earlier on, in the video Outside Help, the video where Nick goes over to Evan's house and tries to kill him, at the end of that video, Evan says that he found some little pinhole cameras in the house, right? Vinny put those cameras up. And then, after this little moment, we get a bunch of interspliced scenes while Evan punches Vinny in the face a few times. And a bunch of interspliced scenes of older videos. One specifically of Vinny saying that we need to keep making these videos. We can't let him win. We can't let them win. Right? We get a little bit of footage of Vinny looking up at the security cameras, right? We then cut back to footage of the fight. Evan is kicking Vinny. He holds Vinny down, tells the camera goblin to come over here, right? And Vinny keeps saying, listen to me, listen to me. Evan says, you listen to me. Evan holds Vinny's head up and he says, how does it feel to be filmed? Ugh. You fuck, right? Says, why don't you tell your fans, huh? Why don't you tell your fans what happened to Alex? Evan then says, what happened to him, huh? What happened to our friend? And we see Vinny start to pick up a rock. And right as he's throwing his arm back with the rock in his hand towards Evan's face, it cuts to a scene from the video consensus where there's a little security camera filming behind Vinny. Now, in that video, shit cuts off, and all we know that happened to Alex is Vinny got into some kind of car crash, and Alex died. But maybe there's more to that story that we never knew, because Vinny was keeping us away from it. Now, in this footage in the car, we get to hear more of this conversation that Vinny and Alex had. In the consensus video, we only got to see a little bit of it, but in this video, we get to hear more. And what we get to pick up from this little conversation in the car is the rake was speaking to Alex, obviously, but it was trying to warn him in a way. Trying to tell him who the people in his life really were, right? It told them that the good one would die, Jeff, right? It told them that something was not right with Evan, right? And we know that very apparently now at this point. But at this point in the series, we only had an idea that something was not right with Evan. And it was telling Alex things about Vinny, right? And when we pick up from this conversation, what Alex ends the conversation off with is the good one's going to die, Jeff, and that Alex should stay away from Vinny and Evan. They're not good ones to be around. What the rake was essentially telling Alex is Vinny and Evan are not to be trusted. Now, Evan, we can understand why, right? He has something controlling him. So it's not really Evan's fault that he can't be trusted. It's more of Habit's fault that Evan can't be trusted. But Vinny has always been in control. So if this entity thinks that Vinny's not trustworthy, that means Vinny, while being in control, has he's been a bad boy. He's done some bad things. Alex says that the creature has told him that Vinny and Evan have done bad things. Really bad, right? But he also thinks, hey, everything that this creature has said so far has come true, but maybe he's trying to get me to second guess myself. That's understandable to think, Alex. But it's tough to say. The creature that was attacking you in the night was most likely right, and you probably should have stayed away from Vinny and Evan. And then we cut back to the current footage at hand. Vinny has now smashed a rock into Evan's face to get him off of him. Evan gets up, tries to attack Vinny again as Vinny starts to walk towards where we saw Habit through the knife. Evan grabs Vinny, starts choking him. Vinny smashes him in the face with the rock again. Vinny stumbles back, falls to his knees. Vinny starts to walk a bit forward, kind of like a fucking villain. Goes to smash him in the face with the rock again. Evan grabs his arm with both hands. And appears to do this kind of like snap thing on his arm. And Vinny makes this fucking noise that sounds like a dog whimpering. He goes like, "Er!" for like a second. It's insane. It's insane. Evan definitely just, snapped his little arm or some shit, right? He hurt him bad in that moment. Shout out Evan. Vinny's looking a little more villainous at this point now. Maybe the person that we shouldn't have trusted this whole time, maybe our main character, maybe our little good guy, maybe not so good of a guy. After breaking his hand, fucking Evan just punches him in the dick area. Vinny starts to stumble away on this, towards this knife. Evan stands up again. Evan stumbles up against a tree and then starts to walk towards Vinny, and he says, "I don't want to do this either, man. But you did what you did," right? Evan says, "I don't want to do this either, man, but you did what you did." Evan says, "And you're not going to win this." Then Evan proclaims that he can't die, right? Now, we don't know if Evan means physically his body is unstoppable now with the power of habit flowing through him, or if he means that he just doesn't want to die, right? He has the willpower to keep going on. I mean, Evan's done wrong, but he wasn't in control of that wrong. Or at least not full control, right? But Vinny has been in control this whole time. And he's seemingly, at this point, what we've learned is he's done a good amount of wrong. Pretty damn heavy amount of wrong. Evan's starting to look like maybe the one who deserves to survive at this point, if we're being real. Then Evan cocks his fist back and goes to punch Vinny. And then it cuts to footage of that one time Vinny was sitting in his basement and his dog ran towards something, and then Vinny walked around the corner and saw that it was Slendy Guy. We cut to that older footage. But this time, it says on the screen, "Take solace in the rain, my children. It only means I'm near." Now, that was an old tweet on the Everyman Hybrid Twitter that was not uppercase and was not marked by any of the members, Jeff, Evan, or Vinny. That was just a tweet that just went out. "Take solace in the rain, my children, period. It only means I'm near, period." Cuts back to the footage. Evan punches Vinny, and it starts raining. "Take solace in the rain, my children. It only means I'm near." And then Evan says, "You were supposed to protect us." Vinny appears to be knocked out from this punch. And Evan sits down next to him, starts to grab his leg. And we see Evan pull back Vinny's leg hard. And Vinny wakes up, going like, oh, that hurt him. That was a big owie. Vinny rolls over in pain and appears to grab the knife. Evan doesn't. I don't think Evan really notices this, because while Vinny's grabbing the knife, Evan's looking up at the camera goblin and he's going, "Get the fuck away." Then Evan gets on top of Vinny and starts to choke him out. While Vinny pleads, "Stop it, stop it, stop it." Not really pleading, more like commanding. It's kind of like what a villain would do, As Evan chokes out Vinny, footage from the self-defense video from earlier on in the channel plays over it. But you could hear the audio of Evan telling Vinny that, it's gonna be over soon. And while Evan says this little speech to Vinny, which I will say to you in a moment, Vinny keeps pleading, "Stop, stop, we can kill him. We can kill him." As Evan's choking him out, he says, "Everything you did, I can forgive you. but I gotta kill you first. Evan says, at least after all this shit, I'll kill one fucking monster before this is over. He's talking about Vinny. Vinny has become one of these monsters. Vinny has opened up his heart of darkness throughout this series, and we have been revealed that Vinny had the capacity for evil. Now, after Evan says this, we can't really understand what Vinny says, but we can kind of hear, fucking monster, fucking monster, right? Vinny gets angry, and he takes that knife, and he stabs Evan in the side. Vinny has just stabbed Evan with the God-killing knife. Evan takes the knife out of his side and he says, now Vinny, you know, I've told you before, I can't fucking die. But right before he finishes that sentence, he says, I can't fucking, and then the God-killing knife has worked. Its magic has worked. Evan falls off of Vinny and starts to either vomit up or cough up blood. It doesn't really matter. Blood is coming out of his mouth now, in quick succession. Evan is now in horrific pain, and he starts to go, oh shit, that's what that does. And as this goes on, Vinny starts to stand up. Vinny starts to stand over Evan, he starts to point at himself and say, I'm the monster, I'm the fucking monster. He starts to say, I'm the monster, huh? Do you know what you did to me? For years, do you know what you did to our friends? To your own child? And Evan grabs that knife and he starts to stab a little bit towards the ground at Vinny's feet. And as Evan's stabbing a little bit, Vinny finishes off by saying, oh, I'm the monster. And Vinny starts to limp away. Evan is now in horrific pain. He coughs up a little more blood, goes like, oh, that fucking hurts. But then he stands up, still with the knife in his hand. As Vinny limps towards, I'm guessing, the shotgun that also has the North Star imbued onto it. Evan fully stands up, stares up in the sky, and proclaims, I think I'm dying. I think I'm fucking dying. We then cut to some footage of the smiley face video where Jeff dies. I'm not going to go over that in this video. Go and watch this video for yourself if you want to see that. The video is titled All Good Things, right? But then next we cut back to Vinny and Evan. Evan and Vinny are now closer at this point. They are standing near each other. Evan's looking down in his wound, and Vinny's standing there all angrily. Vinny's standing on business right now. We see that Vinny is holding the shotgun, and Evan, now closer to Vinny, says, Vinny, I think I'm dying. And Vinny looks at him and says, yeah, you are. All like a cool guy, like a cool action movie guy, right? Yeah, you are dying, but what do I care? I'm just a fucking monster. He has that shotgun in his hand. We're seeing Vinny's true nature right now. He's been a goddamn villain this whole time, hasn't he? He says, huh, yeah, that's what you said, right? I'm a monster, right? You're the one that tried to save Jeff. You're the one that tried to save Alex. You're the one that tried to save you, right? Vinny's having his little villain speech right now, right? Vinny points at himself and says, oh, I'm the monster, though. And he cocks that shotgun. Vinny cocks back the shotgun. Evan tries to run at him, and Vinny says, well, fuck you. And shoots Evan in the chest. He shoots Evan. Evan falls back. Vinny, you're looking villainous as hell right now, boy. Scene cuts a little bit. Now the camera goblin is looking at Evan. Evan is holding the wound over his stomach. He's bleeding more and more. He's got blood coming out of his mouth, even more now. But he is not dead. And he is still able to speak. And he's saying, oh shit. While Vinny is saying, God damn it, man, it shouldn't have come to this. Or he says, like, it didn't have to come to this, or something like that, you know? And then Evan, through blood in his mouth, weakly says, I told you I was gonna kill you, Vinny. And we can see Evan starting to pick up the knife a little bit. Vinny says it's over, while Evan starts to breathe very raspily, very much like a those kind of breaths, you know? Evan's not doing good. Evan picks up the knife, says, just come closer to me. And him and Vinny start laughing a little bit. And then Evan gets a mean mug on his face. And he throws the knife hard. And then Evan asks, did I get him? Camera turns around to Vinny. And Vinny is now holding his neck. Hand covered in blood. And Vinny goes, did you just fucking throw a knife at me? In like a joking kind of way. Vinny says, Evan, it's over. It's done. And I think at this point, Evan dies. His body kind of just goes limp. Camera pans back to him to see that Evan has gone limp. And then we start to hear Vinny go, oh shit. That actually made me start coughing a little bit. Vinny has been nicked by this knife in the neck. He's been nicked by a knife in the neck. This is the God Killer knife. One little poke, horrific death, you know? And it plays, well, we hear the sound of Vinny starting to keel over and die. It plays footage of the old Everyman Hybrid boys in the car together. There's Evan, Jeff, Vinny. Their friend Daniel's also there. But, yeah. The old Everyman Hybrid boys just in a car together, chilling. Vinny starts yelling at Evan's corpse in a weak way, going, you listen to me. And he's crawling ever so slowly to him. He's yelling, I'm not a monster. I'm not a monster. Vinny's coping. He's trying to convince himself otherwise. Vinny's a monster. He's a bad, bad man. And I think in this moment, as Vinny crawls closer and closer to Evan's corpse, grabbing on his pant leg to help him crawl up towards him, from what I can interpret in this scene, we can kind of see Vinny start to lose that tough guy persona. That villainous persona. It doesn't matter anymore. He's close to death. He's very close to death. And he says to Evan, we're not going to die here. This is what they want. Evan's dead at this point, you know, Evan's not listening. Vinny's just saying this shit out into the world. Out for anyone to hear. He's really just saying this to try and convince himself, you know? Vinny uses the last bit of strength he can to crawl up next to Evan and sit up against the tree with him. Slowly die. But Vinny has some final remarks to say. Starts out by saying, damn it. You know, a defeated ass damn it. He says, damn it. You know? And he says, I don't know if we're monsters. Vinny and Evan have died. Their story is over. And they were the last two remaining people of the Mining Town 4, right? So, if they're dead, that means this iteration has ended, and a new one will start sometime soon. For a while, we thought All Good Things was the last video on the channel. But then, a package was sent out, titled Box 7. It's the last activity ever to be seen on the Everyman Hybrid Twitter. Was Habit announcing that someone has received Box 7. Now in Box 7, there's two more tapes. A short one titled Home Phone 2005. And another tape titled Tape 3. Now, Home Phone 2005 is a series of messages that Corenthal left to Marianne, his wife, after some shit went down at a diner. I will leave that in the description below because we're not going to go over it here. It's kind of extra game, it's just extra stuff. It's not really anything that's going to help our investigation into Everyman Hybrid. It's none of that. It's just kind of extra stuff. So go and listen to it. It's really good. I really enjoy it. Yeah. So I will put Home Phone 2005 in the description. I will also put Tape 3 in the description. Now, what is Tape 3? Tape 3 is yet more of Princeton tapes, Vinny, but it's almost like a different iteration of that Vinny, where he meets a man named Roger Palladino, and they start doing little investigation work. And that eventually leads to some amazing shit. Tape 3 is about an hour long. It's really good. I recommend everyone go listen to it. I will also leave that in the description below. And now, we thought All Good Things was the final video on the channel, but the actual final video on the channel is introductions. And in this video, it starts with footage of when Corenthal saved Vinny from the property, gave his goodbyes, and then left, right? It's that footage of Corenthal walking away from Vinny at the tree at Ballpate. It cuts to footage from a day in a life, that kind of distorted footage of Evan and Vinny walking to the tree at Ballpate from that video, all those years ago. Then it cuts to that footage from 78.76, 78 of 76.avi, where it's Evan, Jeff, and Alex walking to the tree at Ballpate. Cuts to some more footage of them at that tree from a day in the life. And then it hard cuts to footage of current day Evan and Jeff, and Corenthal's with them, walking up to Vinny, who's leaning up against this tree, kind of in the same way that he was at the end of All Good Things, right, holding his neck and everything. Evan kicks him awake. Vinny looks up at him, just kind of already realizes, I fucked up, you know? The iteration cycle has happened again. Now, what I do believe is this is Candleverse, Vinny, Evan, and Jeff. And Corenthal's with them, right? Helping them out along the way. And over this footage, We'll Meet Again by Johnny Cash plays. Evan stretches his arm out to Vinny. Vinny takes it. He helps him up. Vinny stands up and looks at his brothers and his father. Jeff gives him a fist bump. Vinny looks over at Corenthal, his dad. Vinny looks at Corenthal and he says, I fucked up, Dad. And he hugs Corenthal. Corenthal says, it's alright. And Vinny replies, it's not. It's not alright. We don't hear what Corenthal says in response. And Corenthal gestures over to Rabbit 151 to take the camera from him. Someone asked Vinny, what are we going to do with that? Speaking about the camera, Vinny says, we don't need it. Puts the camera down on the tree at Ballpate, has it pointing towards a field. Someone asks, you sure? Vinny says, yeah. Puts the camera down on the tree, has it pointed at this open meadow looking area leading to some woods. And Evan, Jeff, and Vinny, and Corenthal all walk off into the distance away from the camera. And that is the end of Everyman Hybrid. Go please, please fucking go watch the series. It's fucking amazing. Now, why I think, they leave the camera there is, you remember all those times they told us, please stop watching, right? They're truly forcing us to stop watching at this point because they know we can't control ourselves. They know we can't get enough of this shit. This video is amazing. It's one of the best in the whole series. Candleverse, Vinny, Evan, and Jeff all walk off into the distance with their father, Corinthal. It's a beautiful ending. One little question that I have is, where's Rabbit 151 gonna go? Is he only staying back so they could get that nice ass cinematic shot? And then is he just gonna stay back? Like, what's going on? What's 151 gonna do after this point? That's one of the big questions. That's one of the big unanswered questions of Everyman Hybrid, But from what we see with this ending, a new iteration has started. A new iteration has started. But we won't be there to see it. And that's fine. We weren't able to see the iterations before this one. We were only allowed to see certain iterations at different points, right? Now, they're gone from us. And that's okay. We got to experience these people while they were around. While they were recording and uploading for us. While Habit was toying with them and being the director and uploading videos for us to see. But they're gone now. Maybe we'll meet again. Maybe we won't. Maybe what the song "We'll Meet Again" means truly is that they'll meet again. We won't meet them again, but they will meet them again. It's fucking beautiful, man. Everyman Hybrid is amazing. And, guys, this is the end of our Everyman Hybrid rambling series. Part 2 of the 4-part Slenderverse series has concluded, finally. It's been great. I've loved this. I love talking about Everyman Hybrid. I love this fucking series. So, we are finished now. After this, we will move on to Tribe 12, but I'm gonna make a little note about, before we get into Tribe 12, I'm gonna talk about the Adam Rosner allegations, not even allegations, the Adam Rosner, because I'm pretty sure at this point it's been confirmed, there's screenshots and shit, right? Adam Rosner is a sexual predator and a groomer, but he also is the person that made Tribe 12. And I want to talk about Tribe 12. It just feels iffy too, So I'm going to make a little video discussing what Adam Rosner did and discussing if, just what the fuck... discussing why Tribe 12 also never truly ended. Because it couldn't. Because the series creator is a creep. And he fucked it up for all of us, right? And he fucking did some horrible things to some innocent people. But I will jump more into that in the little note video when I make it. We will continue this Slenderverse Rambling series with Tribe 12 sometime soon. But I am most likely going to take a 2-day break or some shit like that before I start up with the Tribe 12 series. Because, bro, I put my all into this fucking Everyman Hybrid series, bro. God damn. But it's over now. Everyman Hybrid, link in the description. Go check them out, please. Go check out the Night Mind Explained series. I will also put that link in the description. Go check out Tape 3 and Home Phone 2005. Those links will also be in the description. This is it. I'm done. Me eepy. Me hungry. I'm gonna go eat food. Bro fist.